when we think about old money, what images are conjured up for you? We automatically think about luxury lifestyle, luxury handbags, being able to afford designer brands that are not readily accessible to the larger society. But when we do a little bit more thoughtful research on what old money actually is, it's more to do about your heritage. It more has to do about your family background, your family status, the pedigree that you come from, and also your social network and the position and privilege that you hold within society. And with that privilege, with that higher societal position within society is what really sets you apart in terms of your lifestyle. Now, the old money aesthetic and energy for me is more aspirational than it is accessible and something to work towards within your own life if you happen to resonate with the old money aesthetic and energy. And I just want to put it out there, there is absolutely nothing wrong with admiring the old money aesthetic, aspiring to be within the circles, the upper crust of society of those individuals who belong to the old money lineage, heritage, the real quiet luxury. That is what the classic elegant woman of style is all about. And we will get to that half of the style personality within this video a little later on. But I just wanted to give you ladies a little bit of context in terms of where the classic elegant woman of style's influence, inspiration, energy, and aesthetic is actually born from. Now, there is a little bit of a debate online whether old money is the new classic elegance. I believe it is because, as I just mentioned before, unless you come from a family that has a long lineage within society of prominence, of wealth, of higher societal position and privilege, it's not necessarily true traditional old money aesthetic and energy. So who are some notable families that we all know of when we hear the names are associated with the old money aesthetic lifestyle and energy? When you think about the Kennedys, when you think about the Vanderbilts, when we think about the Astors, when we think about the Rockefellers, when we think about the Rothschilds, when we think about the House of Windsor, they have also a certain pedigree, a certain class, a certain elegance that is threaded through the lineage of the family. It doesn't just start with one individual. It starts with a lineage of that particular family who carries on the tradition, who carries on going to a Harvard school and whose grandchildren and great-grandchildren continue to go to Harvard or Berkeley, and who are deeply active in the philanthropy circles, not just for show, not just to get their name out there, but this is a part of who they are. This is a part of what their family is known for. These old money families are also deeply entrenched in the history of how society progresses, whether it's from a philanthropic point of view, a media point of view, or from a political point of view. There is a huge contribution from these families that are looked upon or looked down upon, depending on how you view these families. However, they are known for contributing a large part of their adult life to being leaders within societies, the movers and shakers, the thought leaders that we have come to know them as household old money names. They are socially groomed from a young age to network with the right individuals within life who are going to carry on the family legacy from one generation to the next. So that is what it truly means to come from old money.
And I wanted to add in an honorable mention, that of Madam C.J. Walker, America's first self-made female millionaire. She built a hair care empire that uplifted and employed thousands of Black women across the U.S. Her lavish estate, Villa Lewaro, was a symbol of ambition and refined taste. Designed by a Black architect, Vertner Tandy, which is nestled in a neighborhood of America's elite. Walker's legacy mirrors the values of old money. Although it wasn't inherited, she created her own inheritance, which was passed on to her daughter. Her legacy, elegance, and influence, while reshaping what old money meant through the lens of Black excellence, her vision continues to inspire generational wealth and empowerment worldwide for many Black women and the Black culture in general.
Hey ladies, so I just wanted to briefly interrupt the video here because I wanted to pay homage to Madam C.J. Walker. There is an undeniable representation of old money families of European descent that pretty much dominates what the media representation of what old money has represented from one generation to the next. And this is why I said that you might find this style personality a bit controversial, the way that I like to approach it, because it is very elitist. And I am very aware of that and I acknowledge that. And I wanted to include Madam C.J. Walker because I do believe that she is the cornerstone for where Black excellence has come from in terms of what it meant for the Black community and has meant for the Black community in terms of becoming the first Black millionaires in America. So that is why I have decided to add her into the old money style personality. Madam C.J. Walker brought her own ambition, her own style, her own approach and take on beauty and fashion and culture to the American historical landscape in terms of old money. And although she does not come from old money, she created it for her future generation of children. And that is why she is included within this particular style of personality. It hasn't missed me that a lot of the families that I have featured here are predominantly European descent. And I wanted it to be more of a diverse showing within this video. And this is why I have added Madam C.J. Walker. So let's get back to the rest of this video. So what sets the old money style, aesthetic, energy apart from other style personalities, especially that of what we're going to be focusing on later on within this video, the classic, elegant woman of style? One of the main style elements of the old money aesthetic is heritage brands. So women who come from old money, you will notice if you are observing them carefully that they tend to resonate and gravitate and also invest in long-standing heritage brands such as Ralph Lauren, such as Hermes, such as Chanel, which is a classic, such as the Brooks Brothers. Now, an old money woman of style takes pride also in her family heirlooms. So it can be a pearl earring, a gold necklace, a signature Rolex watch, which was handed down from one rich auntie to the next. And her mom passed it down to her. And whenever she has a child or she has a daughter, perhaps who's getting married, she will then in turn inherit that Rolex watch or beautiful pearl earrings or that beautiful diamond necklace. That is what old money style is all about. It's about preserving family history through one-of-a-kind, unique, exclusive accessory wardrobe items. Now, another defining old money aesthetic lifestyle element, which women who come from this upper crust within society tend to resonate with, are low-key luxury items such as your wardrobe, your shoes, your handbag, that are not overdone in your face logos. So women who tend to resonate with this particular style and who come from old money are not very showy in the wealth that they come from. They are born into money. They know what it is to have money. They know what it is to live a luxurious, wealthy lifestyle. That is just who they are. That is just the family that they come from. So they are taught from a very young age not to be loud about the wealth in which you come from. However, when they are in public and they are making a presentation, or when they are going to a high-profile media event, you will notice that the gowns that they wear, the jewelry that they wear, the way that they carry themselves is very elegant, it's very understated, and it's very poised. They also value custom tailored wardrobe pieces as well. Now again, these could be wardrobe pieces such as a Burberry trench coat or a Burberry leather bag that has been handed down to them from their grandmother or rich auntie, and they have preserved it. They take it in to be maintained, to be polished, to be tailored to their specific body proportions. And later in life, they may also hand that down to their children or their wife or whoever it is that they deem are next in line to inherit that particular custom tailored item. Now, these items are usually within the family for many generations and are kept to a pristine level of wearability and presentation. Now, some old money families also have family crests that they may have embossed on their clothing that are strategically placed on their outerwear to show the significance that they hold within society. So when we think about the lifestyle of a woman who comes from an affluent background, a traditional old money family, she will most likely be quite active attending gala events, the ballet, the opera, attending international sporting events such as polo matches, Wimbledon, those sort of events that are exclusive, that is not just open to anyone who wants to attend. It's usually a who knows who invite. We're also thinking about art exhibitions, debutante balls, attending the Cannes Film Festival perhaps. These women are often seen yachting in Monaco or traveling to Ibiza for a family vacation. These are all normal destinations for such women who come from old money. They are also known for attending society weddings and garden parties and also horse races as well. So what I'm doing here is I just want to paint a picture for you of what the traditional old money aesthetic and energy is all about. I want you to keep in mind that for me, it is more of an aspirational lifestyle to work towards. And by all means, if you happen to marry a well-to-do gentleman or woman perhaps, and it is on a mutual basis that, you know, this individual brings you into the family, such as Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle. However, the true tradition old money aesthetic and energy is very much closed, it's exclusive, and it's very difficult to make an entrance into that lifestyle. So when we are thinking about the silhouette of the old money style, these women tend to prefer wardrobe items that are tailored and that are somewhat loose fitting. They know when to dress appropriately for specific events. If they have to show more of their body in terms of a more form-fitting outfit, there is a specific place and a time for that particular outfit to be presented to the public. But the majority of the time, they are in custom tailored, one-of-a-kind exclusive wardrobe items. They are more drawn to tailored wool or cashmere or houndstooth blazer with a beautiful silk blouse inside of the blazer and a great pair of linen trousers, wool blended trousers, just depending on the season, the weather that they happen to be in. Women who come from old money do not like, as I mentioned before, showy, flashy displays of wealth through logos and even the color palette that they may tend to gravitate towards. They more prefer to wear neutral colors such as cocoa browns and chocolate browns and satiny, creamy colors and soft pastel colors, deep greens and burgundies, and those sort of gorgeous, neutral, earthy colors definitely resonate with the old money aesthetic and energy. And these women prefer not to have too much of a loud presence when they step into an environment. Unlike the dramatic woman of style who, whenever she enters a room, heads automatically turned. If you haven't watched that particular style personality, I will link to it up here. Please do take a look at it. It's a very interesting style personality. However, the old money / classic elegant woman of style is very much low-key, understated elegance. She doesn't like to draw attention to her. However, she does garner that attention, but it's more of, who's that lady? She's always so well put together. Very understated, very exclusive, and very choosy in who she surrounds herself with in terms of her social circle as well. So now that you have a little bit of a background on the old money aesthetic, let's look at some notable women in society who come from the old money tradition. The lifestyle, the aesthetic, the personal style of such women.
So here we have a few notable, iconic, old money women of style who I feel represent the energy, the aesthetic, the lifestyle, the true meaning of what it means to come from old money, and to also represent the aesthetic of old money through one's personal style. Now, this is not a full representation of women that come from old money that are notable around the world, but these are the ones that I grew up knowing, and I'm sure many of you know just through face and names. So please do keep that in mind. And if you have any women that you feel represent old money, the vintage, iconic aesthetic and energy of the old money tradition, heritage, and lifestyle, please leave them below in the comment section as well, and perhaps they will show up in the spring edition of the RWS Style Personality Series. So I want to first start with the lovely Diana Frances Spencer. also known to many of us as the beautiful Diana, Princess of Wales, who is of British nobility. Her family had very close ties with the royal family for many generations. So it's not just that Diana popped up on the scene back in the 80s and just out of nowhere started dating Prince Charles. Her family has a long lineage of their own British nobility and also that of being in the royal circles of the Windsors, also known as the aristocrats of British society as well. Now, we all know that Princess Diana married into the Windsor family, where she then married Charles, Prince of Wales. Princess Diana's old money traits. Let's look at the heritage. The Spencer family has a long history with titles dating back centuries. So as I just stated, it's not like Diana showed up in the late 70s and 80s and Charles fell in love with her and she married into old money. She comes from a lineage of old money. Her philanthropy, she is known for her extensive charitable work. That is no news to many of us who are Princess Diana loyalists and fans. She is known for putting a spotlight on AIDS awareness, especially in Africa, and also the elimination of landmines. Now, I remember growing up watching Princess Diana walking through the landmines that were obviously dismantled, but just the fact that she looked so polished, so put together, and effortlessly styled in the traditional old money aesthetic, and here she is walking through landmines. I just remember being mesmerized by this woman. She also made a historical trip back in 1989. I believe this was post-divorce from Prince Charles to New York City, where she visited many AIDS patients and shook hands with many of them. And what I most loved about Princess Diana's approach to charity, it wasn't necessarily just about throwing money at a cause and putting your name over it. She got to the level of the AIDS patients. She got to know the gay community within New York, and she humanized them, and she humanized the cause of AIDS awareness and poverty. This is what Princess Diana was known for. And she was also a huge children's advocate as well. So when we are thinking about old money, or at least for me, it's not just about the aesthetic and the energy, and we will get to all of that glitz and glam and all of the fun stuff in the classic elegant woman of style shortly, but I want to just create a foundation for what old money is actually all about. Yes, there is the whole style element of it, but it's also backed up by a lineage, a heritage, being known for doing something major within society and using your wealth to further society, to progress society as best you can. However, in saying that, Diana, as we all know, is known for her poise, her style, and her elegance, her iconic fashion, and effortlessly embodying the grace associated with traditional aristocracy. And in so doing, through her poise, her style, and her elegance, Diana has left a lasting legacy on both the royal family, whether they like it or not, and also on global humanitarian efforts. Next, we have the sophisticated, beautiful Jackie Kennedy, also known as Jacqueline Lee Bouvier, who she was also born into a wealthy and socially prominent family. Now, as I mentioned before, it's not like Jackie Kennedy just showed up out of nowhere and decided one day that she was going to marry a wealthy president who comes from a well-to-do background. No. Jackie Kennedy was born and raised into a prominent family. She was groomed from a very young age. I believe she first got her public presentation via a debutante ball, and that is when I believe she had caught the eyes of Jack Kennedy during that time. And it wasn't until the 1950s, I want to say, was when she married into the Kennedy family. So she was already going to private boarding school. She was groomed from a young age to speak different languages and to navigate and network with the right individuals within her close family network. Now, as we all know, Jackie Kennedy became the First Lady of the United States when she married President John F. Kennedy. Now, her old money traits, as I just mentioned before, the heritage of the Bouvier family was well established with connections to the social elite and significant wealth. I am talking old money, quiet luxury wealth. Now, the philanthropy in which Jackie Kennedy was known for are her efforts in historic preservation and the arts, mostly that of the Kennedy Presidential Library and Museum, as well as the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. Now, again, if you remember when I was going through the foundations of what it means to come from old money, a large part of this type of aesthetic energy and more significantly lifestyle is the fact that you use your wealth, your family wealth, to contribute to society, to the progression of society, whether it's be through arts, politics, media, education. Your family is known for the impact on a greater scale within society to help it progress. Now, we all know that Jackie Kennedy has fabulous personal style. Much like Princess Diana, her personal style is still very much relevant today, also known as classic elegant, classic chic, depending on how you look at it. Now, Jackie Kennedy is renowned for her fashion sense. We all know this, which set trends and standards for elegance. So her famous pillbox hat, her oversized chic sunglasses, her beautiful, well-tailored petticoats, her effortless style of wearing trousers and a gorgeous turtleneck top. Those are her signature style elements of the old money aesthetic. And it's not as though she went out of her way to create this aesthetic. It's just who she is as a woman, and having that effortlessly translated through her personal style. So next up, we have Lee Radziwill, also known as Caroline Lee Bouvier Radziwill, and that is Jackie Kennedy's sister. Now, what I absolutely love about Lee Radziwill is that although at times in her relationship with Jackie Kennedy, she felt as though she was a shadow to everything amazing that Jackie Kennedy was doing. What makes her a Renaissance woman, in my personal opinion, is the fact that she went against the grain by carving out her own niche within her own life and carving out a path for herself in terms of being immersed in the acting scene and the fashion arts and interior design industries as well. Now, Lee Radziwill didn't do too bad for herself as well. She married Prince Radziwill and became a princess of her own. Now, she may not have been as well known as Jackie Kennedy, but again, if you move in those exclusive circles of old money, you knew of Lee Radziwill and the title that she was married into, and also the family that she came from as well. Now, Lee Radziwill's old money traits include being born into the prominent Bouvier family with close ties to American high society. She is the quintessential socialite, known for her role in New York and international social circles, and her cultural influence involved the arts, as I mentioned before, fashion, interior design, and was often regarded as a trendsetter of her time as well. Lee Radziwill is known for her timeless elegance, in which we will see is also influenced and threaded through the classic elegant woman's style personality. Lee Radziwill is known for classic elegance. She embodies the sophisticated lifestyle and aesthetic of old money. Now, just to give you a little bit more of a colorful picture of Lee Radziwill, some of the friends and acquaintances and colleagues in which she rubbed shoulders with and networked with quite often included Truman Capote, Andy Warhol, Giorgio Armani, Gianni Antonelli. These are just some of the friends in which Lee Radziwill closely associated herself with, and gives you a pretty good idea of how exclusive old money circles actually are. So next we have the beautiful Gloria Vanderbilt. Now, Gloria Vanderbilt is an heiress to the Vanderbilt fortune. She became renowned for her artistry, becoming an author and also a fashion designer. Now, if you are familiar with CNN, the news anchor Anderson Cooper, that's who her son is. Now, Gloria Vanderbilt is a force to be reckoned with. Her old money aesthetic and traits date back to the heritage of being part of the Vanderbilt family, one of America's most wealthiest families. Her philanthropy is all about being engaged in various charitable activities such as the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the YMCA, and various churches and hospitals across America. Now, Gloria is also known for contributing to cultural advances within society, such as significant influences within fashion and the arts. There are various contributions that Gloria Vanderbilt has also made in the circles of old money, and which is also still very relevant today for those women who resonate with the old money aesthetic, the classic elegant style personality, and who are wanting to carve out their own path in terms of creating a career, a lifestyle that is very much in alignment with the old money and the classic elegant new money of this particular aesthetic, energy, and lifestyle. Now, Gloria Vanderbilt is known for her elegance and style, her creativity, and mostly her social prominence in the exclusive circles in which she associated herself with as well. Next, we have Grace Kelly. Arguably, I don't consider Grace Kelly to come from old money. However, she channelized the energy and aesthetic of old money quite beautifully. Now, the reason why I don't personally consider Grace Kelly old money is because of her family background. Her father was John B. Kelly Sr., who was a self-made millionaire and who built his fortune in construction. He was born to Irish immigrants and began as a bricklayer. The family was considered nouveau rich, so what's considered new money. They were often excluded from Philadelphia's old money social circles. So again, at the beginning of this video, I spoke about the exclusivity of the old money lifestyle. And if you were born into old money, you are very protective about the individuals who you bring into your social circles, into your network, because it is an exclusive club for a small percent of individuals within society. And just because you may have a certain amount of wealth, which would put you in a completely different income bracket from normal everyday people, does not necessarily mean that you will be included in the old boys club or the old girls club, if you will. Again, exclusivity is a main parameter of the old money lifestyle. You are going to be audited and researched upon and checked out from top to bottom to determine if you will be brought into such exclusive old money circles. And it's unfortunate because from the research that I have done on Grace Kelly for this particular style personality, despite their wealth, as I just mentioned before, they were considered outsiders due to their accumulation of recent wealth. So it's not just because you made a large amount of money, it doesn't necessarily mean that that automatically puts you into the old money heritage, tradition, and lifestyle. It takes a lot more than that. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it's a long lineage of that particular family brand that is known throughout society. However, Grace Kelly's status changed when she married into the Ranier family. I hope I pronounced that right. She married Prince Ranier III of Monaco, which gave her royal status. The marriage elevated her social position beyond what money alone could provide. Although she was a well-known actress and she came from what would be considered a wealthy family by today's means, her marrying into the Ranier family is what cemented her into the old money lifestyle. She became part of European aristocracy through marriage, not birth. So that's key element of belonging to old money. As exclusive and as privileged and as snooty as that sounds, that is just the facts about old money. And what I also found fascinating about her marriage life after she married into the Ranier family, they were still excluded from certain social clubs. It wasn't so much about what you inherited and what was passed down to you. It was more about what you were actively contributing to society rather than having it inherited and passed down to you through legacy. And they were entrepreneurial rather than inherited wealth. So again, it's not so much about being wealthy, but inheritance and what it is that you are inheriting from your lineage of family who is considered to be old money. So why is it that Grace Kelly is often associated with old money aesthetic, despite having a new money background come up story as she married into the Ranier family? Her styling choices, understated luxury rather than flashy displays of wealth, investment in quality over quantity, a stark difference from being logo obsessed, focused more on understated elegance, emphasis on tailoring and fit over trends, minimal visible branding, as I just mentioned before. Grace Kelly is very much a classic, elegant woman of style, as you will see as we get into the style elements of the classic, elegant style personality.
All right, ladies, I hope that you have enjoyed this historical overview of the old money style, aesthetic, energy, where it comes from, and why it has dominated our consciousness. The families that I have featured within this particular style personality have definitely left an indelible mark on the style, aesthetic, energy of what it means to come from old money, whether you agree with it or not. However, as I stated at the beginning of this video, old money style is more aspirational. It is an elitist segment within society in which, yes, we do tend to draw influence from in our everyday style choices if you happen to resonate with this particular style personality. But I would like to introduce you to the modern, classic, elegant woman of style, who I feel is more accessible financially in terms of being able to keep up with the image, the presentation of what it means to be a modern, classic, elegant woman of style. And some of the women that was featured in the old money style personality will definitely be featured in the second half of this particular style personality. Old money versus the modern, classic, elegant woman of style. Which one do you resonate with and why? I would like to hear your comments, your feedback, opinion. I know that this was a little bit controversial, but to truly connect, resonate, evoke activate the energy of a particular style personality that you resonate with, I always say you've got to understand why you emotionally connected to a particular style personality. That, in my opinion, is the best way to align your essence, your energy with a particular style personality, which creates authentic personal style. With all of that said, I will see you in part 2 of this particular style personality, where we will be getting into the modern, classic, elegant woman of style. See you then. Bye for now.